All right, breaking news coming in now. Stone pelting has been reported in Budgam after two terrorists were eliminated by the security forces in the area. This is, in fact, the stones being pelted on the media vehicles as well. These are the visuals that we are getting to you from Budgam, where stone pelters have, in fact, once again at an encounter site where just the army and the security forces have, in fact, just wrapped up an operation, have resorted to stone pelting, and the media is also being targeted in this area. Going across to my colleague Shuja Thakur, who's joining us live for more on the story. Shuja, now this is a standard operating procedure as far as Pakistan proxies are concerned. Once again, stone pelting being repeated from the area or the place of encounter.
Yes, Ankit, that's exactly what has happened in this encounter as well. In fact, it has become a norm, so to speak, almost everywhere where these encounters happen, particularly in case there are local militants involved. A lot of people do come and gather at these encounter sites. They try to obstruct the operation, try and help the militants. A lot of these incidents have started happening in last couple of years and have become a huge cause of concern for the entire security establishment. They don't really, have a full-fledged answer for it, because, once it turns out to be a law and order situation, then there are chances of civilians getting hurt or fatalities from the civilian side, which then creates more unrest in the entire area. So it becomes a vicious circle sort of a thing. And that is something that the authorities and the concerned authorities and the security forces have been really worried about. They've constantly been trying to figure out ways and methods of controlling the people, but it does not really seem to be helping.
Stay on with me, Shuja. Let me also bring in Gaurav Sawant, the Executive Editor India Today, who's joining us from the newsroom. Gaurav, now this is a challenge that the security forces have to deal with every single day. Stone pelting, which many, in fact, in Kashmir Valley, tried to, in fact, pass on as a legitimate outburst of the people, those who are in a very difficult situation, now seems to be one of the chosen weapon, as dangerous as the terrorists, those who are using the gun. Recently, a security personnel was killed in stone pelting.
Oh, absolutely, Ankit. In fact, this has been a brilliant operation in Jammu and Kashmir's Budgam area. Two terrorists, one suspected Pakistani, one perhaps a local. There was very specific intelligence in Budgam. Budgam is in central Kashmir. It's virtually on the outskirts of Srinagar, barely an hour's drive from Srinagar. And this is where the army had very specific intelligence. The army and the Jammu and Kashmir police about two terrorists moving into this area. They knew the specific house where the terrorists were. So it was a short, sharp encounter. Forces went in, surrounded the house, challenged the terrorists. The terrorists opened fire. The police asked them to surrender. They did not. There was a short, sharp encounter. And in this short, sharp encounter, the 53rd Battalion of the Rashtriya Rifles, they killed both the terrorists, recovered both the weapons, and they have now come out of this area. Now, this is a battalion, incidentally, which has been commanded, by Colonel Nair, who's just told journalists that by the time this operation started, before locals could come, the army had already eliminated the terrorists and come out of that area. That's point one. Point two, Ankit, we were there in this area just 2 weeks ago. That's when, again, two terrorists had been killed by the same battalion, the same teams of Jammu and Kashmir police and the army.
Okay.
That time, the terrorists had taken refuge in a mosque, but the security forces went inside the mosque and eliminated both the terrorists, sending out a message that you may try to disrupt the panchayat elections, but wherever you are, you will be eliminated.
Major General Bakshi also joins us on the broadcast. I request both Shuja and Gaurav to stay on with us. General Bakshi, we recently saw how, in fact, a security personnel was killed in the stone pelting. It's no longer a legitimate form of protest by the Kashmiri, people, those who are, in fact, at this point of time, are caught in a situation between the terrorists and the security forces. It is now a well-designed plan of Pakistan proxies to target and attack security forces.
Hello?
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Now, look, the fact of the matter is that the terrorist war Pakistan had lost quite a few years ago. From 2008 onwards, the main foot soldiers of the jihad are not so-called the armed terrorists, but the 20,000 odd stone pelters that are, paid minions of Pakistan and have taken to disrupting operations. The logic is very seductive. It's the logic of victimhood, that if they are taken to task, if they are fired upon, they go crying to the high heavens that how the, unarmed civilians have been targeted. Whereas the fact is they are not unarmed, they are lethal. They have just killed one of our boys. Just about a few days back, one of our boys was killed by this stone pelting. He was hit in the head and died on the spot. Now the fact is, how long will the state tolerate this nonsense? I think we have to enforce the rule of law. And my only recommendation is, just like we had taken to task in Chandigarh, in Dera Sacha Sauda, when the Reuters had gone on a violent spree, our forces had opened fire, the police had opened fire, and in one day 36 Reuters were killed. And the next day onwards there was total peace and quiet. What we are finding here is that very deliberately they are putting the women in front now, so that they can take the shelter of the women and keep firing at us. So we have to use a combination of water cannons to deal with the women who are up front. It is getting fairly cold, and I think we must use water cannons to scatter the women. We must have snipers who can take on the ringleaders who are instigating. And I think we will have to get far more, proactive. We
Yes.
cannot take it passively, lying down and just get our boys killed. Just
Right.
get our boys killed.
Shuja, I want you to come in at this point of time because, with the new governor coming in place, he said the priority is to engage with the young people of Jammu and Kashmir, those who are using the stones to attack the security forces. But Shuja, more than, the whole narrative of misled, of outlet of anger, this is largely now becoming a very well coordinated effort on every encounter side. Where is the local administration as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned? Where is it failing, or what steps are they taking to deal with this situation?
Well, Ankit, when you speak to people who are at the helm of affairs, particularly who are on the ground here, even the heads of the security forces, for them the situation is way more complex. I mean, for us who are looking at it from a distance, we can say that let's go ahead and go all out against all of these people and it will be over. But for people who are actually in control here, it is not that simple. There are many layers to this problem, and most of these, those people who are, working at different levels in the government, in the security forces, feel that there needs to be a coordinated effort from various, stations, from various agencies, from various heads of the government, political parties, both, and all these efforts need to be working in tandem. As like you were pointing out, the governor himself said that there needs to be an outreach, which is one factor that a lot of people have been advocating for. Of course, there is already, an effort of trying to sort of minimize the militancy, which is already underwaying here. We also have to understand that there are many people who are working at the same time to make sure that the local, local boys who are joining militancy and the number
Right.
which is increasing every single day needs to come down with the efforts being made from various sides.
Okay. Shuja, stay on with me. Gaurav, let me also bring in Gaurav. Gaurav, this challenge continues for the security forces, for the army. For any operation that needs to be done, they need a place which is devoid of civilians, coming in any form, trying to disrupt the operations, whether through protest, stone pelting, or walking in. How is the army now dealing with this? Because this more or less falls under the purview of the local police and the CRPF.
Spot on, Ankit, and that is exactly what the security forces do. The army moves in to neutralize the threat from terrorists. It's the Jammu and Kashmir police and the CRPF which take care of stone pelters. And, as General G.D. Bakshi was pointing out, whether it's the use of non-lethal means like snow slugs, ice slugs, water cannons, or should the need arise, even pellet guns. Now, security forces have been told that there are various graded levels of response if the mob goes beyond a level. So you begin by tear gas, warning, chili grenades. if the mob becomes bigger than that, which is not the case here, it's it's about 4-5 girls and 15-20 boys. They've targeted media vehicles, so this is where they're doing this for publicity. The moment it goes beyond this, that's the time that the security forces are well entitled to use whatever means that they deem fit. All of this wasn't happening when there was a Mehbooba Mufti and BJP government in place. That's the time that, the right hand didn't know what the left is doing. There wasn't a very clear chain of commands. Operations happened even then. As Shuja was rightly pointing out, it is a cause for concern that a number of youngsters are becoming terrorists. But it's also a fact that in the past 2 years, more than 320 terrorists have been eliminated. More than the number of chaps who are joining. That's point one. Point two, just yesterday, Maulana Masood Azhar's nephew was killed in an encounter. Pakistani elements are being eliminated every day. So it's Pakistan that's misusing religion to misguide the local youth to pick up the gun. We broke the story yesterday. Once a misguided youth becomes a terrorist, he is not permitted to come back. Death is his only way out. The government, of course, now permitting them to surrender with their weapons.
Absolutely. And as Gaurav and Shuja were pointing out, there seems to be a plan that is put in place. Make them, brainwash them into stone pelters. Next logical step, pick few of them and then, of course, give them a grenade or a gun to go in front of the security forces as a fodder. So that is a sign of worry. And of course, the government needs to take much more on this. More measures need to be taken to, in fact, deal with the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you so much, Gaurav Sawant and Shuja ul Haq, for joining us and giving us perspective on this story. Now, moving on. Now, this is the other big story that we are continuously tracking on India Today, the air quality in Delhi, which is a daily worry. Delhi braces for the 10th day air pollution emergency as the air quality index has breached very poor levels of the air quality. As the air pollution is likely to worsen in the next 10 days, there will be a partial shutdown of the national capital between November 1st and November 10th. The measures the authorities will enforce include ban on construction activity and shutdown of polluting industrial area for the next 10 days. Union Environment Minister Harshvardhan has called an emergency meeting with Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and Delhi Environment Ministers today in the national capital. The Supreme Court, on the other hand, will hear a plea on increasing air pollution in Delhi NCR. This after the Apex Court had asked the Pollution Control Board and the Delhi Transport Department to stop plying 10-year-old diesel vehicles and 15-year-old petrol vehicles in the national capital.
आपको क्या होता है?
मुझे होता है कुछ भी नहीं, आइस में होता है।
आइस में होता है। और आपको क्या होता है बिट्टू?
मुझे आइस में चलना आती है, नशे आती है।
आप जब स्कूल आते हो तो आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम होती है? क्या होता है?
आंखें जलती है।
आंखें जलती है।
जो स्मॉग है वो बच्चों को बहुत इफ़ेक्ट करता है। इनफैक्ट घर में भी मैं बच्चों को देखती हूँ, मेरा बेटा जो है, मेरी डॉटर भी है। सो अभी रनिंग नोज़ की प्रॉब्लम एंड ब्रीदिंग डिफ़िकल्टीज़ ये उनको बहुत ज़्यादा होने लग गई हैं।
बच्चे अगर आउटडोर एक्टिविटीज़ नहीं करेंगे तो उनका कैसे ग्रोथ होगा, कैसे उनका फ्यूचर, कैसे वो एक्टिविटी मतलब आगे ग्रोथ कर पाएंगे अगर वो बाहर नहीं जाएंगे। अब यहाँ पर तो ये है कि आप मॉर्निंग इवनिंग कुछ भी ले लीजिए, चाहे पूरे डे आप बाहर निकल ही नहीं सकते। बच्चों को हर टाइम पे नेज़ल प्रॉब्लम, ब्रोंकाइटिस, लंग इन्फेक्शंस, कफिंग, इतनी सब चीज़ें हो रही हैं।
Now, while me and you are suffering from this gas chamber that capital has converted itself into, politics on this continues. Listen into some political reactions.
सिर्फ आलोचना और निंदा करने से किसी समस्या का समाधान नहीं होगा। पराली जलाई जाती है पंजाब में, हरियाणा में, उत्तर प्रदेश में, उसके लिए हम लोगों ने बार बार निवेदन किया कि भाई इसका कोई समाधान, कोई रास्ता निकालिए। आज क्या हालत है? गुरुग्राम जिसको गुड़गांव कहते हैं, नोएडा, फरीदाबाद, गाजियाबाद, ये शहर दिल्ली से ज़्यादा बुरी हालत में है। तो क्या अकेले दिल्ली के लोग परेशान हो रहे हैं? अगल बगल की राज्य सरकारों को भी सोचना चाहिए कि इसमें एक सामूहिक प्रयास की जरूरत है और केंद्र सरकार को भी सहयोगात्मक रवैया अपनाना चाहिए।
दिल्ली सरकार सो रही है, उसको जगाया जाए। जो पोल्यूशन के पदाधिकारी हैं उनको जगाया जाए। अब जैसे अभी मैं सुन रहा था, कोई अधिकारी अचानक जगते हैं और बोलते हैं सारी गाड़ियां बंद कर दो। कम से कम इन तुगलकी फरमानों से परहेज करो। अचानक सोए रहते हो, कैसे अधिकारी हो भाई? कि अचानक सोए हुए हैं और अचानक कहते हैं कि सारी गाड़ियां बंद कर दो। तो पोल्यूशन को दूर करने के लिए एक लॉन्ग टर्म और सीरियस प्लान बनाना पड़ेगा, न कि अचानक तुगलकी फरमान लेके इसका निदान होगा।
The Chief Minister is saying Punjab farmers are only responsible for the smoke.
Well, I disagree with that, because if that sort of information is there with that should have the scientific background to pass on such a statement. I totally disagree with that. I have the reasons for saying that, why I disagree with that. Because if you look at that, for the last about almost 20-25 days, air quality index of Punjab in comparison to Haryana and Delhi is much lower. Then how come it is possible that particles can move from lower concentration to higher concentration?
All right, now in a big boost for Modi government, India climbed 23 points in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business ranking. Now India stands at 77th position among 190 countries. The Ease of Doing Business provides objective measures of business regulations and their enforcement across 119 economies. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley vowed to continue reforms that will help India break into the top 50 nations. He said India still had a long way to go. Meanwhile, BJP Chief Amit Shah credited Prime Minister Modi for improvement in India's position in the Ease of Doing Business ranking. He also took a dig at the previous UPA government led by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, alleging UPA's policy paralysis adversely affected the nation.
The entrepreneurial spirit of India, which drives the private sector. And when we talk about private sector participation and entrepreneurship to be allowed to flourish, one of the roadblock in that is ease of doing business. If you can improve ease of doing business, obviously that will allow entrepreneurship to reap its true potential, which will drive economic growth, and therefore India will be able to grow even faster. And this has been identified for too long, but never acted upon. And therefore, for a very long time, ease of doing business was not a good news, so it was never a please of doing business for people. And therefore, it is heartening to see that continuously, after Prime Minister Narendra Modi has become the Prime Minister of India, we have been seeing a constant improvement, and particularly last 2 years have been phenomenal.
Poulami Saha, my colleague, now joins me for more on this story. Poulami, although this is something that, of course, the government is celebrating, the government came out as one of the achievements as far as the Modi government economic policies is concerned, the criticism of the government still doesn't end. People are saying this has a very limited impact only on for the perceptual value. On the ground, there is still many problems that the government needs to tackle first.
Absolutely. There are several issues that the government is obviously facing in terms of the depreciating value of the rupee, in terms of the investment climate as well. On the economic front, the government has been on the back foot for a long time, and hence, as a result of this report, which the World Bank released yesterday, where India has jumped 23 places to number 77 now, closing in on the top 50 countries of the world where you can do business in an investment-friendly climate, has been a bit of a boost for the government. It is going into an election in 2019. Like I said, it's facing criticism, and hence the fact that there is this climate which is being acknowledged by investors now, that there is you can easily acquire construction permits, you can easily allow for trade and investment across the country's borders. This is definitely something which the government is seeing as a fillip in terms of its economic campaign, like I said, because it has been on the back foot on several other issues. Yes, we're talking about on a day when we were talking about how the RBI and the centre are at loggerheads, and the government looks like it may have invoked, though there is no official confirmation of the same Section 7 of the RBI Act, where it basically can tell the RBI what to do and take away its autonomy. On that day, to have this kind of a boost is definitely something that the government is looking as a feather in its cap.
Thank you so much for joining us with all those details.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.